questions. They're yes or no. If you don't know of them, know about them, haven't gotten into them or understand them, please say so. I want to know from each one of you if you support the Convention of States. I also want to know if each of you support or will help legislate against ESG scores that are coming and looming over our heads.
I just learned yesterday what an ESG score is. Emotional, social, and what was the G? Governmental. So that we would all have a public score about our behavior and our opinions, and that would allow us, is that right?
The banks are going to use them, and we need to legislate against,
yes,
like helping towards, we can do it, we can get involved and understand it, the active, proactive, find out, educate yourself, understand it because it's coming to you. So for our state and our banks, we really need you to understand the Great Reset and the land grabs and the ESG scores, because China, we sold ourselves 50 years ago. We all know that.
And
but
I agree.
If you would look into it and understand if it comes to you,
yes,
to help legislate against what they want to do. Chip Roy's already all over it, so it's already out there. Washington has it, it's trickling, so I really need you to understand what that's coming. And we're in trouble already in Kootenai County, taxes, all that. None of that's going to matter if you don't understand it.
Thank you.
And so Paul Amador and Addis, Jim Addis, I need yes or no. Will you look into it? Do you believe it? Do you understand it? Have you ever heard of it? Because you're on my...
I'm trying to answer your question. Let me answer your question. Yes, I will look into it. I was not, so you have to understand all of these letters. We've been talking about CRT. We don't want anything to do with CRT in the legislature. We're talking about SEL, social emotional learning in our schools. We don't want any of that in the legislature. And we don't want the ESG. It is absolutely wrong, and we should not be judging each other based on our personal opinions. So yes, we will look into it. It's an infringement on our freedoms.
Not we. I need an answer from each
I
one.
will.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And I would be the same. It doesn't sound like anything I would be in favor of,
Thank you.
but I will research it.
Thank you.
What about the Convention of States?
And Convention of States, are you for or not? Don't tell me why. Just I need to know if you.
I'm in support.
Thank you.
I'm in support.
Thank you.
I have not heard of ESG scores until he brought it up. I will definitely look into them. It doesn't sound like something that sounds like a good idea for our country moving forward, and I would support Convention of States.
Thank you.
And the 30 by 30 decarbonization group that I mentioned, that's exactly what we're dealing with is the ESG scores. I'm very aware of that. I'm also aware that business interests in this state are capitulating to that, and they can't. If they do, it's the end of us all, and we're watching this happen now in real time. I know there's a group we're meeting next week on Tuesday. A well-known radio talk show host will probably address maybe with the governor and several of us on this very topic. So anyway, yes, many of us are aware, and so we're doing what we can. Convention of States, I've been a no, but I will tell you that the states got together and created the federal government, not the other way around. And we're almost to the point where I think that might be the only thing left in our toolbox. So, but I've been reluctant.
I support a well thought out, well executed, well coordinated Convention of States. It's one of the reasons I think it hasn't gotten traction so far is because there are a lot of different interests that want to do it. And if it was left to that, then there's a good chance that it isn't successful, and therefore we just shot ourselves in the foot for being able to do it in the future. So I believe in doing it well, and doing it with a specific intent and purpose that can see the job done. Regarding the ESG, based on my personal relationships in the past, I can only guess how bad my ESG score would be. So I don't think that's anything that needs to be tracked and monitored. Believe me, I get enough heat for things I say.
As far as the Convention of States, I am 100% in favor of most of the goals of the Convention of States. What we're arguing about, whether or not we have a Convention of States, is the vehicle by which we get there. And we need to have a discussion on that. I think we're so focused on the mechanism that we lose sight of the eventuality of what we're looking for. As far as ESG scores, most of you don't know that my parents came from Poland, and they fled mainland Europe after all of Eastern Europe was given to the Soviets. They could see the handwriting on the wall. It was supposed to be a coalition government. Anytime you hear that word coalition, you can substitute the word communist. Without exception, that has happened throughout the world. Since my mother was an only child, she came over here, didn't have any relatives. My father was the only one from his family that came over to this country. With the exception of my brothers and sisters and their immediate family, I have one known relative here in this country. All of my family, my parents' family, is back in Poland. They lived through the communist regime, and there's nothing closer to an ESG score than living in a communist country, and the way you get ahead there is you join the Communist Party. And that's basically what we're being asked to do, is to join an ideological movement that supports social emotional justice, social emotional learning, CRT, all of these social justice programs, and I'm not in favor of that at all.
As far as Commissioner of States, I said this last year when it was asked of me, is I don't know. I keep waiting for a bill to come so that we have a debate. That's a great process, by the way, down in the legislature. We go through committees, and even on the floor, we've got people come in from the public, they debate one way or the other. I hate to say one way or the other until I hear everyone's debate. I don't think that's fair to the people I represent. I generally approve of the concept. I know we got problems need fixing, but I don't want to open Pandora's box either. So I'm not a no vote, but I'm not a yes vote yet. So that's where I'm at on that. ESG, yeah, fully aware of it. My wife's been keeping me very deep in the weeds on that, and she's great. And we're totally against it. Be thrilled to find some legislation that can help folks out on that front. I'll take a peek, and if nobody else is doing it, I'll take a stab at it.
Thank you. In regards to the Convention of States, we've had several bills that I've always voted against. But as we wander down this path of total financial insolvency, I can't write off any possible tools we have to maybe rein in Congress and rein in the Supreme Court. In regards to ESG scores, I'm very familiar with it. I'm writing legislation with Representative Barbieri from the Idaho Falls area to address the ESG and the scores and how that's accounted for. You can look on Idaho Power's website, they have an ESG score. And you would be surprised at the number of Idaho companies that have an ESG score. And in that regard, we are bringing in, Representative Ehart and I are bringing in Glenn Beck to talk to the legislature about this. And he will be in the Lincoln Auditorium either 4 or 4:30, I believe, on Tuesday of this week to talk to anybody up here that doesn't know something. I have heard him speak on the issue back in November, which is why we worked to get him here. I don't think Representative Wisniewski overstated it. It is very, very frightening. And when you listen to him talk about it, you better have a sleeping pill for that night, because it's a little scary. It's a lot scary.
Yeah, as far as ESG, I've just been learning about it here the last few days, and obviously, if it's going to be violating any of our personal liberties, we've got to stop it in its tracks, and certainly I'll be supporting that. I appreciate the nuanced answer that my seatmate Doug here has said in terms of the Convention of the States. I have been adamantly against it. And recently, as the last few months, recognizing that the federal government is really out to destroy the nation. It is not something that's accidental, or they are deliberately destroying the nation, and it's getting to the point where something must be done. So I want to see some legislation. I want to have a conversation about it on the floor. I would like to begin to discuss advancing this forward so that we can have an intelligent discussion. The thing about it is, and I'm sure you're all aware, there are probably 200 or more different amendments that would be proposed in any kind of a convention, and the chaos that would be ensued would probably do more damage than we can imagine just trying to work our way through that. So there are some practicalities that I think we need to work through, but I am changing my mind about the discussion. Instead of being as adamant no, I think we have to begin to look at, use the crazy phrase, tools in the box. We've got to begin to address this. That's my answer.
Thank you so very much. Let's find out.
And if I may just jump in, they're using the same tactics on the truckers in Canada. They're gonna pull their insurance, it's the same idea. The ESG, the banks won't loan you money. If you don't have a good score, you're in trouble. So your business will fail. This is an orchestrated attempt to take over this country. And I will say, and on the Canada thing, I wish Americans would have stood up when they told us we could no longer meet in church 2 years ago. Finally, better late than never, but we just watched our freedom evaporate. And the Convention of States thing, we have a great constitution if we could just get back to it.